일단 저희는 어떤 팀을 상대로든 승률은 반반 나올 수 있다는 생각 가지고 있고, 그래서 16분의 1로 4승 챙기게 되면 플레이오프 좀 가능성이 좀 생기기 때문에 좀 마지막까지 최선 다해서 경기 잘 마무리하고 싶어요.
이제 마무리 잘해서 저희가 이제 프로 이상의 그 결승까지 볼 수 있는 그런 팀이 되겠습니다.
Good evening and welcome to another day of SPO TV LCK 2018 Summer. I am Valdez. With me is Papa Smithy. We're going to be getting into a great matchup tonight, a very important one at that. Gen.G up against SKT. So much on the line for both of these teams.
SK Telecom T1 on that win streak, Valdez, feeling good about their recent performances. Pyrion in the mid lane. An emerging story. We'll see if he will confirm his spot for today. They have a very hard run-in, but it is still, of course, mathematically possible for SK Telecom T1 to make that run to playoffs to guarantee that they'll also be in the Worlds qualifier. There's still that SKT storyline going on, and it's that World Finals rematch against Gen.G.
Yeah, it's a big story we got tonight, and definitely both of these teams should be in a pretty good mood. SKT on a bit of a roll. Although it was against some of the weaker teams we do have here, at least they got some foundation under their feet to say, hey, we're winning again. We have something good going here with Pyrion. Let's see if we can continue it. But Gen.G facing some really strong teams. Outside of their loss to KT, they've been just crushing the side. So looking really good for them as well.
Problem for the fans, though, is would they have preferred to have FLICKR there while they crushed those teams at the bottom and then being informed for this day? Honestly, the Pyrion experiment is really decided based on the results of the next 4 matches. If he comes in today and performs, then it was worth it. Then it was worth it to find a run of form. If he doesn't, then the question marks will be there about the lineup. So nothing is really decided yet for SKT. This evolving story, the end point, we're going to find out.
It's kind of funny. Blank just tried to walk in front of the camera. The 2 referees
herded around.
Sprinted over to him and tossed him in a little bag, and we took care of him. But he will be playing today. Oh, we just had someone else jump in front of the camera.
It's that kind
Pretty
of day,
funny.
Valdez.
Yeah. Things are a little bit all over the place. We have a sold-out studio today, so all the seats have been taken, and it's going to be a good match. Definitely, I think it should be even. I would expect a 2-1 either way. And I think we're going to see a lot of really surprised people if SKT actually come out and upset, because Pyrion, if he can get on a roll like that, would raise even more questions for the side of SKT.
If SKT can show the style that got them the victories, I think they can do it today. But does that style work against the best is a question that no one knows the answer to.
We have to wait and find out. And look at this, guys. We are going to go ahead and jump into introducing our teams. SKT will be playing with Pyrion today, as you could have guessed. Tall Blank, Pyrion, Bang, and Effort. You win this many times in a row and even have a decent showing up against KT. You are just going to go with this same lineup, and they've been looking good, more playing as a team with this lineup.
With Pyrion in the mid lane being a bit more on the supportive side, it's meant that Blank has really shown a big increase in average performance, and Bang's peak. That second game last time out against Jin-Air, where he won the entire game after a good start. That was also the sort of thing that SKT fans sit back and take notice of. They still have that possibility. They're now at 7-7 after 14 matches. They are 7 wins in 7th, 7 losses, and 17-17. They are in parity right now. and their schedule is tricky, Valdez. Gen.G today, FLICKR, Griffin, and Kingzone. They want 11 match wins. If you hit 11, which is winning all 4 of their remaining games, including today, you're basically mathematically guaranteed playoffs. If they beat those 4 teams, I want them in the damn playoffs. They're one of our best in Korea.
Would definitely be confusing, especially if they could do it with Perion, but we'll have to get through this team first. Gen.G currently in 2nd place and so close to overtaking Griffin. Just a couple of game wins. They would be able to overtake them. They have to do as well as they can in every single matchup they have left, and it's mostly easy matchups from here on out.
Gen.G versus Griffin was Gen.G's last game. Maybe the best game we've ever had in Korea, certainly in 2018.
Yeah.
What a 2-0 it was. Gen.G went on to win that one. Cuve's heroics on the Gnar. No doubt generating him plenty of money from those Gnar skins as the Gnar skins are out. Still not enabled for today, guys. We're still on patch 8.13, so no world skins going to be shown off by Gen.G today. But they just want to go straight to finals. To do that, to finish 1st place, they need to win every game, like you're mentioning, 2-0, and Griffin needs to lose 2 games. If Griffin loses 1 game, we're talking about games, not matches, guys, so 1 game, 1 best of 1, and Gen.G wins every best of 1, we will have a best of 1 tiebreaker for 1st, which is just about as hype as anything could be.
Yeah, it would be the rematch in a best of 1 to decide who goes straight to the finals and who would most likely go up against KT in a best of 5. You don't want to have to face KT in a best of 5 before getting to the finals. I guarantee it, guys. So both of those teams trying to make it in, and SKT just trying to survive here and make it to the playoffs. Let's jump into key points so far. Look at these 2 teams. It's extremely close, 11-12 in terms of game score, and mostly it's just whoever wins the first game wins the set.
It's a pretty cool predictor we have right there, guys, so remember that one. You're all about your LCS rules today. Win the first game. Apparently, you are going to be set up to win the entire series. I think SK Telecom especially needs to build on confidence and win game number 1. We know that Gen.G can play Gen.G style and come back in a series. History, of course, is always a relevant indicator. Gen.G did win in the 1st round robin, pretty comfortable victory. The funnel Haru on Camille in the 1st round. And this is the remaining schedule that we have on both sides. We're also looking at all the possibilities of how things can go. There's just so much up in the air, Valdez, and that's the fun part of LCK this season.
Yeah, if you're a Gen.G fan, you look at that schedule and you are hype as all hell. You're just waiting for Griffin to lose 1 game, and the way that Gen.G has been performing, certainly they could 2-0 all of the teams they have left over. So, I mean, they have to get through SKT. Definitely looks like the hardest team of the 4 that they have left over. So a big day for Gen.G and a big one for SKT.
And again, the pack right now is at 9 match wins. For SKT to get there, they need to beat 2 of these opponents. That pack is also going to have an easy schedule and win matches. So you honestly, as SKT, need to win all 4 to guarantee and win 3 to give yourself a really good chance of finishing top 5. If you're beating 3 of these teams entrenched in playoffs, every remaining opposition is a playoffs team, then SK Telecom will be in playoffs. So earn your way, but best of luck with it. You definitely have to work hard.
LCK unbelievably competitive, especially up near the top. We've had a couple of teams, even 3 teams down at the bottom, giving up a bunch of wins, which means that everybody else is just super close up towards the top. So let's take a look at SKT. They definitely did get better in round 2. I think part of that is their schedule that they did have for the beginning of round 2. The only loss they've taken so far was KT, and that was a 1-2 loss.
It's just such a hard thing to really have an informed opinion on. Did SK Telecom get a lot better, or did they have an easy schedule? I think there is fundamental improvements in their macro that can be judged based on just their own play, but also you can't take away the strength of schedule situation. It is very clear that they have a very hard run-in. We look at the side of Gen.G, BoTV making fun of just how close the ending of Gen.G versus Griffin game number 2 was. 1 auto attack on the Nexus from the Orianna might have been enough. Cuve finishing the Nexus on the other side. You get that Nexus, you win the damn game.
Cuve, the big shining light on the side of Gen.G, but I feel like as a team, they've just looked so much more solid. Fly in the mid lane, obviously performing. Ambition coming in as the solid starter, too. We don't really see Haru anymore. The bottom lane still going strong. And as a team, the Gen.G train is chugging along, trying to get that first place. But again, they need to make it past SKT. I don't think it's going to be easy. A lot of people are calling for 2-1 tonight. And let's take a look at the highlight matchup. We are actually going to have Blank here up against Ambition for the jungle matchup.
Definitely Blank being able to get his KD out of the toilet a little bit. In some of the recent games, up to 4.27, which is actually middle of the pack towards the top for the jungle role. Vision score is always going to be pretty decent for these two junglers. Damage percentages, they're going to be on the low. We all know about the 612 meme and how Ambition likes to farm. So no surprise that they're putting out big damage numbers very, very rarely. But when it comes to controlled jungling, Blank has definitely passed the eye test. Much more aggressive, assertive early games. And in general, the macro for SKT in their recent wins has been ordered, it's been smart, it's been nice to sit back and appreciate. Can they recreate that as the schedule gets much more difficult?
Well, the one thing I noticed from the wins that they have already, they have more wins than they got in the first round. They started off 3-6, now they're 4-1. Certainly is an uptrend regardless of schedule here in round number 2, but this is where it gets rough. Not sure about that damage taken stat for Ambition. He likes to play a lot of farming tank junglers, so he's just going to be in the front line a lot of the time. Don't really read too much into that. I most likely, I would want to read into him just being in the right place at the right time all the time. I feel like his experience here in the LCK and playing that much League of Legends really gives him the experience to be a good jungler.
I just want to read in some pick and bans, and good news, we've got some.
Here we go, guys. Game number 1 here. SKT versus Gen.G. SKT going to be on the blue side this time around in the ever-evolving meta. From day to day, things change and seems to slow down here in the LCK.
Definitely this patch cycle, which has now been 3 weeks on 8.13, 2 weeks with hot fixes, and also so many damn best of 3s every week, has led to the sort of meta evolution that was common in StarCraft, where there was a lot less regular balance patches. Here in League of Legends, we usually have very clear reasons for the meta to change, but it's been really fun to see it evolve and see Orianna come back, and then people realize, wait, Azir into Orianna, and then wait, Xerath into Azir. And even the junglers have gone much more to the tank junglers and Trundle. There's no agreement on set metas over weeks here in Korea. It is evolving at a really fast rate. Zooming in on this pick and ban, there's a lot of focus on the bot lane of Gen.G. Do notice that Tahm Kench isn't blue side banned by SKT. You're not giving Tahm Kench to core JJ without a big plan, so they're either taking it away or they have something really set up first pick.
Yeah, they ban away 2 of the supports. 2 of those big engaged supports. They take away core JJ's biggest pick as well. Means that Gen.G can't just first pick, you know, Tahm Kench Varus or anything like that for their side. They may take the Varus, but they won't have that protection with core JJ.
And what can they take is the interesting point, because a lot of teams value stuff differently. Zoe, for example, is open in this game and has been very highly prioritized recently. After the Orianna matchup was seen as strong into it, mention also that Orianna is banned on the red side, but they're going to first round Varus to deny Varus Tahm Kench, probably the strongest blind duo lane, and they're going to take just the Trundle for the jungle, but Sejuani is back in. We might just see the tank battle there, unless Blank wants to get aggressive. The Kindred some people prefer. It is a riskier choice, but if Pyrion is always going to be rotating first with his jungler, you can understand why they would consider the Kindred.
I really do like that idea. Blank has been unleashed. He is the new carry from the jungle. He looks like a totally different player with Pyrion in the mid lane. It's part of the argument, but he does jump onto the Sejuani here, so gonna move away from the Kindred. Also thinking about their AD carry will be Ashe, in fact, that comes in here for SKT.
It's a bit of 2017 spring meta. Varus versus Ashe every game is increasingly becoming a standard story. Notice that SKT would not first round the Zoe, and we haven't had teams able to do this in a long while. That last pick on the red side has the value of, if you lock in a role that SKT haven't already taken, you can double ban to protect it. The LeBlanc is something Pyrion has already played against the mages that struggle against a LeBlanc. So we see Zoe picked up, the LeBlanc banned, and theoretically a very safe spot to draft this Zoe.
Gonna get a lot of protection here for Fly. He has been one of the main carries for the side of Gen.G. But speaking of which, Gnar is going to be taken off the board here. So much success from many different teams on this pick.
It's insane how high the win rate is for Gnar, given that every game this week, blind pick Gnar happened on the red side. Basically every time the first round champion, where Ruler's pick is, would be Gnar. the Kennen matchup that used to be a hard counter. Nara is winning 5 out of 6 times so far in the LCK. The only matchup strong against it that's actually worked is the Jace, but Jace and Nara banned away. Does this just mean tank junglers coming through? Cuvée, of course, can always revert back to Ornn or something super comfortable. The Cho'Gath, a popular pick for other people. Entire duo lanes there for SKT. Ruler and Core JJ love to go for these counter picks to try to get at least one champion that has the laning advantage. Soraka, very strong laning presence next to the Varus.
Yeah, it's really good too, because you look at the side of SKT and what they have so far, there's not a lot of backline threat, right? The Sejuani, the Ashe, they're going to be hitting the first target that they see. Lots of Sejuani ultimates into the front line, which they will begin to try to counterpick for the top side. SKT trying to go one step ahead of them, knowing that they want some kind of tank on the top side, will take the Kennen away.
The operative term you used was backline threat. This might be an AP Kennen game because suddenly you have 3 people you would love to be on top of with this Slicing Maelstrom. Speaking of being on top of, the more backline threat, a combo here in the second round would be the Galio. Big pick for FLICKR, just big pick for SKT in general. Pyrion 2-0 on the Galio this season. They consider it, but instead, they're going to try and find backline access with the Realm Warp. How about starting the Slicing Maelstrom and then Realm Warping in with it already started? Remember, the damage is backloaded on the Kennen ultimate. We'll see if it is that AP Kennen. That's what I would prefer based on the comp they're against. But it all depends on what Gen.G decide for this top lane pick.
Gen.G thinking about something that they can just, do damage to the front line as SKT move into picks that are a little bit squishier and that are going to be diving the Rise and the Kennen. A couple of barrels to the face can definitely discourage them from jumping on in. I do like that pick there from Cuvée. And, the Rise, even, outside of trying to go for that idealistic engage with the AP Kennen, has shown so much success on taking objectives and a huge map presence once again.
So there's actually a lot of parity in terms of the broad strokes of these drafts. Pick comps on both sides. Varus and Zoe, very much a pick comp. Sejuani jungling for hard CC in every lane, definitely can be a pick comp. But the siege from Gen.G is really oppressive, and they're all running cleanse to try to stop the Ashe arrow, or for example, the first CC like the Sejuani ultimate from being relevant. So it does feel like unless you can get those cleanse cooldowns blown, basically off cooldown, if Gen.G get out of the laning phase, either even or ahead, they're going to be able to come up to a very oppressive siege, similar to the Zoe Ezreal we've been seeing very commonly in recent match days. And SKT, short of an AP Kennen flank, won't have that much threat onto the back line. So I'm really looking to see which type of Kennen we're getting, and if it's not going to be the AP, whether they can set up for a 4-1 split push, because if they can't, I feel like SKT may have less options against Gen.G.
Everything you mentioned definitely puts importance on that early and mid game. If Gen.G can get ahead and even take a Baron, that might just be lights out. So SKT, a lot of pressure once again onto Blank. He needs to be there and he needs to find a way to out-jungle Ambition and to deal with the double cleanse. I guess you could even call it triple cleanse with GP up in the top side. Yep. It's going to be real hard for him to do more than just farm. But unfortunately, I feel like he has to do more than just farm.
It's going to be a spicy one, that World Finals rematch, always a highlight.
It's going to be a good one, guys. We're going to jump into game number 1 right now. SKT versus Gen.G.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Here we go, guys. Match number 73. We're winding it down. We're getting close to the end of this split. And it's a very nice match to go into. SKT versus Gen.G. So much history between these two teams.
Struck by the fact that 268 days ago, I was in the bird's nest in Beijing, waiting and watching the big crowd filter in, over 40,000 people there to watch SKT versus, at the time, Samsung Galaxy, now Gen.G. 268 days later, so much has changed. SK Telecom's 2018 season has definitely been one to forget. Gen.G actually finished below SKT in spring season, but has loaded up and now looks very much entrenched in the playoff spots. SKT, FLICKR not even in the lineup today. 4th game in a row that Pyrion started. I gave the stat in the last series that I cast that the only time FLICKR's been out of the roster long enough for game 1s was on SK Telecom T1 in spring season of 2015 when Easy Hoon would start game 1 and FLICKR would play game 2. We're not seeing FLICKR at all. This is the 4th series in a row where Pyrion has started. No certainty that we will see FLICKR come in game number 2, and game number 1, a must-win for both sides.
It's definitely a huge matchup to start off good here. We'll see what the Soraka is going to be able to do too. Core JJ not on the Tom Kench this time around.
Level 1, baby. Level 1. Soraka comes in, and Tom Kench can really provide almost nothing. The pick here of the Soraka is a higher risk pick, because of course Soraka can be ganked. She can go cleanse. We've seen cleanse Soraka a couple of times in the LCK, but it's heal Soraka to guarantee the push on the bot side. You might even be able to get Drake's supremacy. They want a strong lane to play around bot side. That's why they go for the Soraka with here.
Love the pathing here from Blank to just go up there. I think Ambition, with all of the farming that he does, is getting a little bit predictable, right? You know that he's just going to farm everything except the Krug. So a lot of junglers on the blue side have just been saying, hey, I guess I can just take your Krugs for free here.
He's also jungling on his strong side with the aforementioned Soraka bot lane. You're going to feel really good as Gen.G that you have a first spawn of the Infernal, because you will have priority around the bot side of the map, and Ryze takes a bit of time to have any sort of priority in the mid lane. They do have the Hawk Shot. That's another reason why Ash's been in the meta. It's both the pick comps and the Hawk Shot is Blank is actually proxying the minions, and they're saying, well, it's time to turret dive early.
I love this. Even if he's not going to turret dive, something that Ambition has been sowing
you're right.
is just walk into the lane and say, I'm not really ganking. I'm just helping out my laner to get an even larger lead, because I can't really gank anyone. It's really hard to do, especially this early on.
And pulling the minions has always been a pretty common thing that you'll see. For example, if a top lane is giving a leash and the enemy top laner isn't, for example, the red side, let's say Cuvée wasn't giving a leash and Tal was, you walk in, get the minions to aggro you as they come to lane and start the push towards you. If you go for those same sort of proxies of minions, you mess up the turret AI as you would normally get in a game where there was no interaction, and that can give little advantages to someone like the Kennen, who's honestly about just taking the turret, taking GP's life, whatever he can auto-attack, he just wants to auto-attack something.
Yeah. And you guys can really feel how the meta has slowed down here. I'm going to hold the thought as Ambition is coming in. Is going to be spotted on a ward, but the first back for the Ashe, she goes and uses her teleport super early to pick up a cull and a refillable potion. It's just, I know we're going to be in the lane. I'm not going to die. I have Tom Kench. Let me catch up to this aggressive lane, or this annoying, harassing lane with the Soraka by picking up a cull.
Definitely a bit of a middle finger to big interaction gameplay, and also the strength of the Gen.G duo. Understands that I'm not going to have priority. I get a little bit of on-hit sustain with this cull, and if I'm just going to be under my turret, at least I'm going to make gold while doing so.
That's what it's all about, the cash money. Down on the bottom side for these 80 carries. Ambition trying to strike back, take some of this camp, but looks like he has only been able to get 2 of the small Raptors, make it 3, but the smite does go to Blank as he picks up the big one.
In general, if you see Trundle entering the enemy jungle, whether it's around the bot lane or the mid lane, there is priority in this red side jungle, so every camp that Blank picks up uncontested is one that certainly Ambition could be there in order to contest. We're too early for there to be a Drake start or anything like that. First buy, only now coming in for Gen.G. You already mentioned the teleport. We already spoke about also in Champ Select how both sides have a bit of a siege poke comp, maybe a bit more pronounced on Gen.G. But they took the cleanses. There's teleports for SKT that gives them back timings. Gen.G, they have to be much more honest about walking to lane, and that is going to be the cost there. It's more incremental purchases available to SKT.
Yeah. Ambition, it looked like Cuvée was pushing in, and even though Pyrion is doing a really nice job here in the mid lane, Blank just going for a bit of a longer clear down on the bottom side means that he will lose that Scuttle. We do have Spo TV here with the Scuttle Crab counter, and so far Ambition is going to go ahead 2-1.
Well, given that Cuvée even has priority in top for this moment in time, it is 3 control lanes. Pyrion was doing some really good trading on Fly. Got basically all of Fly's corrupting potion charges for free by weaving in those spells. So nice job by Pyrion when it comes to lane control on this Ryze.
Yeah, Fly, he had the barrier on his W, so he was like, hey, let me try to take a trade. But Pyrion just waited it out, waited for the barrier to go, and then the trouble bubble missed, and that's when you know you're in a little bit of trouble yourself, as the Zoe. Pyrian taking a really nice trade, as you mentioned, is going to be ahead in the lane, just about 6 CS.
My favorite thing about Pyrian when he's been in the roster is he's really kept it simple. He hasn't tried anything fancy. He played the LeBlanc into Zoe. He's played it really standard. He was up a little bit of CS. He wasn't looking for fancy outplays. He will always teleport first, as we see. Just the ultimate use for a bit of wave clear here. Didn't mention this, but it is the AP Cannon's Fly.
Fly gets low. Pyrian going to win that trade. No TP on the Zoe. Pyrian will also get the ideal back, but as you're going to mention, the arm guard picked up here by Kennen.
You can see also the Summoner Airy. Press the attack is the keystone of choice for the on-hit build. Seems like Tal saw what we saw. There is a lot of backline threat, but we haven't seen AP Cannon in quite a while in the LCK. Cube could also opt into a Spectre's Cowl and really have no dying threat in the 1v1. There's always a cost, whichever Cannon build you go. On-hit, stronger for lane and turret destruction, worse for team fights. SKT, they're feeling like they can find the team fight, and with enough cleansers down and that little lightning rat coming in the backline, I tend to agree with them.
Yeah, Tal, I mean, a lot of people remember him as the guy who was just really bad at teleporting, right? He was coming in every game. He had the really weird one on the Nasus, even though his Nasus is all right. The TPs we saw were not so great. But I feel like he has improved a lot in that one specific part of his gameplay. His teleports have been a lot better. And if you're Kennen, you're going to be looking for that flank. You want to get into the back line. We're going to have to see some good warding, good ward coverage deep into the jungle. We're going to have Tal have those game-changing teleports in the back line.
A lot of game-changing Varus builds recently. A lot of Comet Varus. Notice we do not get Comet Varus this game. Comet Varus is preferred into kind of mid-range enemies. Xayah Rakan, for example, Comet Varus does really well into. SKT actually have Ashe in the bot lane, a bit more range in general on the comp, so with less bruisers, Ruler's happy to get in there. He really wants to be able to kill Blank at the start of a fight. A trouble bubble into the Rage Blade autos might be enough. Pyrian pushing in onto Core JJ. Sorry, Bang just pushing in onto Core JJ and Ruler there for a moment. So it's just going to be very much the Blade the Ruin King, Rage Blade Varus. About the auto attacks, we will still see plenty of Comet Varus as the compositions the Varus faces change.
Mid lane, still Pyrian is having a fun time here. The Ryze pick into the Zoe. Knew what he was going up against. We've seen a lot of different picks into that Zoe. A couple of bans against it, the LeBlanc especially. Didn't want to have Pyrian go on to that pick again, but I'm curious to see what his Ryze looks like, if he can actually find some good success on that one. Does only have one loss on it so far.
Faker's Ryze, through all the Ryze reworks, pretty legendary. His ambition.
Oh boy, need to get that in there. Nice silence on the consumption, but effort is going to be there on time, and Bang will be just fine to get out alive on that one.
Can they actually fully disengage Bang from the lane? Your first thought with all the CC down is no. Bang has so many different types of healing. He has the Doran Shield, he has the Vamp Scepter, and the Cull. So he has the most sustain he could find. Fly has a huge mana increase and just wants to get Pyrian out of lane, and that does mean this is a great time for Ambition to start up this Inferno.
TP is going to come in here from Bang. It looks like already Tal is running down the river, doesn't have TP himself. Trying to get that engage onto Ruler. He's going to miss. The cleanse coming in anyway. Really nice slow, though, onto 3 members as the entire backline took a ton of damage. Missed Battlestar as well. This should go over to the side of SKT. There's the smite from Blank. Now they're going to be just looking for the disengage. Gen.G still very low, but nice play there from SKT to win the fight.
And these are sort of fundamentals they've shown in their win streak over Hanwha Life, BBQ, and Jin-Air that are on full display here. They understood that with Pyrian showing on low mana in mid lane, that's when Gen.G is supposed to start up the Drake. They had priority bot lane, they chunked out Bang and effort. Surely now you start the Drake, but then they have the teleport ward for Ryze to join in the middle. Gen.G don't actually fully commit to it. Cube doesn't want to come down and throws down the ultimate too late. Communication clearer and more assertive by SKT. And against the run of play on their weak side of the map, they actually pick up the first Infernal in a bit of a highway robbery.
It's huge, too. You pick that Infernal away from the side of the GP Varus, who are going to scale the Zoe, who's going to be ever oppressive. Your backline AP Kennen is going to be thanking his lucky stars that he is going to do that extra damage, and is not going to be burst down just as fast. It's a really important Drake for SKT to take, and it's a really good sign, as you mentioned, looking towards the later game.
That was some lead
Not sure what that
right
was,
there.
yeah. Spo TV trying to change the game in more than one way. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good sign that SKT are on point today. They know how important this is, and they know that they have to win against the strong teams. We'll see if they can do it.
Nice ward, spot Ambition coming over, and now Blank Empyrean will respond first.
No ultimate available just yet from Blank, but is going to be able to ward him away. They will pick this one up. Goes over to Bang too.
What are we seeing from SKT today? We're seeing them ahead of the play. Even in areas where they're weak on paper, they're reading the situation and being ahead of the play. To me, that at minimum says good preparation and good communication. So nice to see it from SKT. Gen.G on their strong side, not finding the leads we thought they would. They get to their siege a little bit later, a little bit behind. We already know that Tal could be a match winner with the big cannon ults.
Well, Ambition hanging around here, but actually SKT is looking for the dive chains of corruption, but there is that ultimate effort, gets the 3 stacks on the ruler. The Wish comes in and he has a bit more health, and Gen.G, rather effort is going to be locked down. Finally, Blank Empyrean get into the lane. They were zoned out for so long, but the first blood will go to effort in the bottom lane.
SKT have more members there. Again, they're there first. Again, that's what happens with Pyrian very frequently. Nice to see from SKT. Ruler is out of the lane. Tal chases down Cuvee. This map is controlled by SK Telecom T1.
They are running the play. It didn't look like Gen.G knew that the rotation was coming in. Ambition was there, but really close to the turret here were Ruler and JJ as this fight started.
Again, look at the minimap. You think first, yep, Ambition's there first, but of course, 2 members of SKT are joining, and that means that Ruler is out of position. Ruler thinks he's got first position because Ambition is the closest member to be there, but after that, we just see the teleport come in to guarantee the kill, going to be cancelled by Cuvee. Very nicely done by SKT, cancelled by Tal, I should say. Very nicely done by SKT, and while they don't hold a gold lead, consider again that Gen.G picked winning lanes, and they're not winning by any measurable stat.
SKT feeling really good about their control of the map. They get that gank down on the bottom side. Now they're looking for the Rift Herald. Immediately, Pyrian is there as Blank starts it up. The 2 of them going to start it here, and Tal, with the pushing lane up in the top side, can easily rotate first. Cuvee going to be there a little bit later. Looks like Gen.G know that this is happening, but can they steal it? It's going to be up to the side of the Battle Star, maybe the smite, but he's held down, and here's Tal coming in. There's that big burst damage from the AP cannon. He gets the kill onto the Trundle, and they want more. Fly is on the run there, but the arrow is perfect. A double kill to the Rise of Pyrian, and a huge start to the game from SKT.
They're going to put down the Rift Herald in mid lane as well. There's Pyrian on your screen, no doubt rallying the troops. Great assertive play with the Abyssal Voyage. They get to the mid lane, they put down the Rift Herald, they control the map. Remember, top side is where SKT had the advantage. That's where they had the strong lanes with the cannon. Gen.G say, well, SKT stole away our Drake. Let's steal away a Rift Herald. No. You need to prepare for that moments in advance. Gen.G realized it too late. SKT knew about it way early. And that means more rolls down for SK Telecom T1.
SKT just playing as a team, as you'd mentioned. Fly and Ambition think, hey, we can come in here, try to steal, but...
Watch the mini-map during this play. I know the action is enticing, but already the Tom Ken should move to where that control ward is near the Soraka. They get the map play, Fly, flash in a straight line, Shades of Clear Love at Worlds there into an Ash Arrow, and you can tell Gen.G are flustered. They thought they would get SKT rolling over and dying, but SKT today, there's no white fight, there's only a rallying cry as they're running all over Gen.G.
You back in SKT into the corner of a cage, and they're going to fight back. They have to fight for their life right now. They know that a lot of fans disappointed about their start in the beginning here of summer. Disappointed perhaps about FLICKR not playing, but they're finally finding success on just their last try here to make it into the playoffs, and very far ahead now in this game. 2,000 gold already at 15 minutes. Blank just a little bit better in the jungle, it looks, in terms of the stats.
And as you know about us, I'm a very biased caster. And you know that I'm biased towards the team who plays well, that follows their draft and has smart macro calls. I want to see them win. SK Telecom T1 are playing like that. They're playing smart, they're playing to their draft. They understand what Gen.G's draft does, maybe even better than Gen.G does, and that's why they took the first Inferno and stole it on the bot side of the map. Now they're setting up around a second Inferno, and Gen.G, despite this being their strong side, doesn't know if they're strong enough to take a fight against SKT.
And look at what they did. They sent Perian up a level on Cuvée to push in the top side to win the matchup of Rise versus GP because he's already 2-0. He's going to crush that lane. You send Tal down here, you win the 4v4 anyway. They take control of the river now, and it's a second Infernal, which just means more action should come here in the next couple of minutes in this game.
We're seeing inaction though, Gen.G don't know exactly what to do. Gonna be a bit of damage onto the Tom Kench.
Yeah, he gets locked down for way too long here. The stopwatch comes in, he gets the gray health, but he is gonna go down. The Wish keeps Ambition alive too here. Blank coming on in, and the TP here from Cuvée, trying to break down that front line now is SKT. But the trouble bubble is going to be there, and tons of poke damage comes in. The arrow kind of lackluster on the Cuvée. And Gen.G win the fight. Means that they should be able to take this Infernal.
Seemed that SKT were in two minds on what to do, and eventually, Effort just took too much damage. Didn't have cleanse, so couldn't get out of it. Super quickly.
Looking for the steal. Oh, not going to be on time. Was close. The smite wasn't on time there. There was a chance if he was a split second faster.
There was actually a chance on two different things. When he came in, like you say, he could have smited. If Ambition was a bit earlier on the pillar, could have stopped him getting over with his Arctic Assault and then could have forced the flash out. So neither of those things happened. Gen.G a bit against the run of play, do pick up an Infernal. SKT's only sideways moment in 17 minutes, they back away. Let's watch the replay here. There's no cleanse on Effort in this fight. They don't have any vision over the wall. And unfortunately, when the first bit comes in, Bang understands early, says, all right, it's heal time. Comes out of the Tom Kench, Effort goes down, and ends up a 1-for-0 and the Drake for the side of Gen.G.
Kind of looked like he didn't know he was on a ward, but there was a new fresh ward right in the bush, and he just walked straight up to 4 members over the wall, and he's like, maybe I can just get a nice little tongue over the wall, but that was not the case as he gets shut down. So a bit of a mistake there. You know, SKT aren't perfect, even though their early game this time around has been a lot better than what we've seen in past.
They can get the first turret in bot side, which is the losing lane against the Varus and Soraka. That would be a huge thing for them, and we saw how much turret damage had already been done. The Cull Castion much earlier means a parity in items despite the CS disadvantage. Turning on to Ambition, but it's a solo mission at the moment for Blank.
Pillar comes down, the rest of SKT is rotating. Tal has his TP. Burst damage is going to be avoided. Actually, nice use of the plant there by Blank, and all the while, Perian just silently pushing the top lane will pick up a turret.
That's right, it was in service of something. The play, which looked low value, trying to steal away a red, was in service of that top lane turret going down. Blank takes a big burst from Fly, who has the Ludens and a bit more. But SKT, that is, of course, the second turret of the game to 0. Despite the fact that Gen.G would have loved their lanes to begin, Tal is going to start auto-attacking a very low health outer turret and bot, and 3 turret to 0 lead might be there for SKT pre-20 minutes.
And they're going to actually try to take a little bit more than that. They get the flash away from Cuvée into the lane. Another really nice Abyssal Voyage out of the side of Effort.
Going to be a Spellbinder on Perian.
Looks like it. Was going to mention it. This guy is popping off in his items so far.
That's a lot of Nikes on the Rise. That's a cool thing. Haven't seen that before. Seen Shirelia's Rise at one point right before the start. We don't see Rod of Ages in Korea because the game is there to be won. Usually when the Rod of Ages is stacking and just getting the tier into Seraphs has been the big preference here in Korea. But this is a cool one. This is a confidence build, I think, from Perian, and I'm excited to see it in action.
Bang a little bit behind in terms of his CS down on the bottom side, outside of the one couple of kills that we did have down there. It seemed to be a little bit even, although Bang was behind, but he picked up the Cull, so should be pretty even when it comes to the golds. Going to be curious to see if he can carry his team on the Ashe in the way that he did on the Ezreal the other day.
Gen.G from behind, it's a little bit more difficult to enact it, but they still have this very oppressive siege of Varus and the Zoe. It's not the Comet Varus, but it's still going to be Varus poking under a turret, and Zoe needs no introduction there. For it to happen, though, they have to be so vigilant about control wards on their flanks and even behind them, because the difference between a good siege and a bad siege is going to be a Realm Warp or a teleport coming through from Tal. Realm Warp has a bit more of a delay. The teleport can be a bit more devastating. But Gen.G need to find a way to just roll through as 4 and actually take objectives. The mid lane inhibitor, sorry, the mid lane turret is the one they want to focus on first. But for now, with SKT pushing 3 lanes, this is smart for them because Zoe doesn't really have a role in a side lane like this without significant jungle attention. Whereas Rise can, of course, with triple teleport, make it a side lane game. So SKT going triple teleport against the double cleanse tells you SKT want to play 3 lanes and Gen.G want to play 1.
You see that the sweeper is going to come in here from Core JJ. There's only 2 on their side trying to take out all the wards, but there was that one sneaky one in the Raptors. So keep in mind if Gen.G want to push straight into the Baron as 5, they could be taken from behind by that level 14 Kennen up in the top side, who has finished her 2nd item now to the Morellonomicon. Is just going to slice through with that slicing Maelstrom if she can get position into the back line.
And Morellonomicon definitely the right choice against Soraka on the side of Gen.G. Even Cuvée has some healing in his kit. So Morellonomicon is the first item. The Zoni is here for the ever-present AP Kennen item. Blank just on the flank, looking for an option here, looking for any inroads. He knows there is no control for Gen.G on the right side of our screens.
Yeah, lots of control over here for SKT. Blank is joined to just try to zone out. You guys will notice the bottom lane. Look at Tal pushing into nobody. Zoe is going to get there a little bit late. Finally does get there on time, but Blank was in position to just immediately rotate over if necessary.
This game has been a battle of SKT finding safe split push for Tal and Pyrion, and Gen.G catching most minion waves. That's really all that's happened. But remember, for that to happen, that means that SKT is at inner turrets pretty reliably. Also remember they have a Realm Warp to get to the Baron. The fallback Baron is what SKT are looking for, pushing Gen.G to respond to minion waves at every moment.
Yeah, you'll notice the one that's pushing into the top side. Cuvée is actually going there a little bit late. He's going to miss some of that CS, but is there on time. But look at this already. Part of the Morellonomicon already picked up for Pyrion, who's level 15, and fed as all hell, moving over towards that 3rd Inferno. They would love to pick up a 2nd one for the side of SKT.
For now, at least, you know SKT is going to have control in that area because Gen.G have had to be much more defensive on the map. They haven't got river access in a little while. They're trying to get closer, but only spot vision provides them anything. Let's watch the turn here and also where the Kennen is.
Trying to come on in here. It's going to go over to the side of Ash, who takes a ton of damage in the front line, has to flash the Chains of Corruption. Tal, he was looking for the flank, but they decide it's not necessary as they get the objective.
And Gen.G have a really good ward on the edge of the entrance to the river there that does spot out the Kennen. So SKT were setting up for something that Gen.G was well aware of. That's good vision control there from Gen.G, something they will have to focus on at all moments. If you ever let it slip against a Kennen, it's going to decide the game.
Definitely will. All a Kennen, an AP Kennen, I should mention, needs is just the 1 TP and the 1 big team fight, and she can win it for the team. Now, they get the Infernal. Bang takes a ton of damage in the front line, but effort right there to zone him out.
And that's the problem, is even with the information Kennen is there, they can't walk up as forward to try to get that particular Infernal.
Oh,
Free
boy.
damage.
Once again, Pyrion just going on in. The Realm Warp here, Ambition, the arrow does go wide, but even through the wish, he gets it as Fly does not block for his teammate, and Ambition goes down. Oh boy, turned into a 1v1, and then they all come over and rotate, and they get the big kill on the jungle.
And Pyrion spares the blushes of Bang, who really should have hit that Ash arrow, misses it. They still get the kill. That Baron, 20 seconds left on Ambition, could be started at any moment. Watching this one here, double control wall, they started up.
They're thinking about it now. They know that Ambition's not there. The TP is going to come in, though, from Cuvée. They do want to challenge in here. SKT not super healthy on Blank, but the other 2 members very healthy. Look at Tal from the top side. He would love a flank here, but the smite is going to be in from the side of Blank, and there you go. Ruler going to take a ton of damage in the front line. Here comes Tal looking for 4 members. Going to get on top of Cuvée, but he wants to get Ruler. Not going to get the best flank, but they get the Baron, which is all they really wanted in the end.
Tal realizes he's walking on vision and doesn't actually have a team fight to try to kill, so he just evacuates. He just ults 1 person and gets out. There's no point to overcommit there. You already got the Baron. You don't need to have triple kills in your eyes when you already got the big objective.
Yeah, I mean, he does his job, certainly. It put Gen.G in a bit of an awkward spot. They're not able to get the steal, and a really nice decision after Ambition gets caught here in the jungle.
Ambition is guilty, more than most junglers, of walking up to unwarded brush and dying. The Ash Arrow here guarantees his death. It ends up being a fortunate one, just dies. CoreJJ not able to get the last heal off to try to keep him alive. So nice stuff from Pyrion to actually guarantee the kill. Baron play from Tal looks comical, but again, understand, he understood that he was in vision when he came for the flank. They'd already got the Baron. No need to flash ult. People who have their flashes up, you weren't getting any further kills.
And Pyrion once again, another really fantastic game, this time on the side of the Rise. He is unbelievably fed. The Spellbinder is going to make plays like that even easier. Ambition has to be so careful now. He doesn't have his flash, and he's only a Trundle. Pyrion can just sprint at him and 100-0 him if he is alone. So much control going to the side of SKT now that they have the Baron. They're going to look to push 3 lanes once again. That 1-3-1 coming into effect.
Gold lead is massive as well, Valdez. 8,000 gold and an Infernal Drake lead is so big for a team, building damage in 3 roles. SKT push up in the mid lane, continuing the 1-3-1. They have no interest in grouping as 4 or 5 against Gen.G, and Gen.G continue to be spread across the map. They can never actually combo their siege, and they've never even got a damn turret in this game.
Still waiting on their first, not sure if it's even going to happen. Tal taking it slow with that Baron buff. They still have a lot of time, relatively, a minute 20 here. We'll take out that final inner turret. Down in the bottom side does Pyrion. And even Flying kind of giving up on that lane now, 2 levels behind the Rise. Just looking for picks in the mid lane, but even a trouble bubble on the side of QSS Tom Kench. It's going to be really hard to make your pick comp work.
Pick comps losing map control have been one of the most obvious stories to discuss at Colorcaster for many, many years. This is the definition of a game that a pick comp isn't set up for. The 1-3-1 has been beautiful. Fly might just straight up die.
Pyrion flashes in. Just trying to bait him in. The flinching. Bang taking a ton of damage. Ruler getting low too. But the consumption is there. The Devour effort able to save his AD carry once again. That silent companion on the side of SKT effort doing his job on the Tom Kents. They first pick it away from CoreJJ, and it's been so effective as SKT from ahead to save that AD carry time and time again.
And that engage from Gen.G was almost a crying one because they just about keep their inhibitor turret up in the bot lane. They don't actually improve their position on the map. They do mean that Baron doesn't actually lead to the base being broken. It's very close to being broken, but it doesn't go down. On the precipice of some big item timings for SKT. We're only a recipe short of Infinity Edge on Bang. If the Devour is on point and he free hits, he is going to do incredible damage.
That he is. Let's take a look at the bottom lane once again. Fly probably just eats a combo to the face as he's down 3 levels in this replay.
That was, yeah, not a lot of spells, and he almost straight up died. Pyrion flashed in, not going to pick up the kill. Does mean his flash is down against a pick comp, so that might actually be consequential. Effort stayed in the belly so long there. Cuvée tried to predict the barrel as the Ash left the belly, but didn't happen. That's KR belly right there.
Yep. KR belly, the pork belly, some of the best you'll get. Highly recommend Korean barbecue. Go ahead and try it, guys, wherever you're from. But a Cloud Drake now to the side of SKT. Gonna take this down in just about 30 minutes. The damage is actually gonna go to the side of Bang, who is on top, even ahead of Pyrion. He's been doing that consistent damage in this game.
Tal has the Void Staff. We know what he's all about now. Now I think you can greed for the 4-man ultimate and not think too much about it. Ash Arrow sails wide. Don't know where that's going, but speaking of sailing, here's Effort and Bang.
Well, they're going to get behind Fly here, and he's in a lot of trouble. Has to flash away. Does have his cleanse. And in fact, Tal will have to be devoured to save his life. Cuvée with a nice cannon barrage for the disengage. You can see what they're trying to go for. Had the execution been slightly better, probably 1 or 2 kills to the side of SKT.
I don't know if Bang is quite prey on the Ash Arrow counter. He's been a little bit off. He's got his sights slightly to the left, but everything else has been pretty on point for the side of SKT, so hard to throw too much shade at that SK Telecom T1 marksman. He's got his Infinity Edge. Now he doesn't even need arrows. He just needs enemies to stay in range for long enough.
SKT very far ahead in this one, just about 9,000 gold at this point. Gen.G looking for that first turret, but looking to try to stop the push here is SKT.
Remember what we said, SKT never want to play 5v5 ARAM style against Gen.G. Gen.G have been split the better part of 30 minutes. Anytime that Gen.G can set up a scenario like this where you have to juke a Varus Q, a Varus Ultimate, the Zoe Trouble Bubble, Paddle Star, even Barrels coming through from the GP, that's not what SKT are interested in dealing with, even with a gold lead. They're able to get the recalls here. They don't want to stay in this state for too long. They do want the Baron, though, and that spawns in less than a minute.
Let's throw Tal down here onto the side of QV, who has finished his Maw of Malmortia, sitting on 3 items himself. He would love this game to just go a bit longer so he can just crit Tal in the face as he tries to get into the back line with perhaps 1,000 damage barrel would do the trick. Make him Zonia's early, and then perhaps if that 5v5 fight does come in, Gen.G can try to fight from behind.
Tal is going for the Turbo Cannon build. Shirelia's Cannon on the way in this particular game. Could also be a Proto Belt, I guess, but I'm a big fan of going for the Shirelias for the Turbo Cannon. Things like that throw off timings because every professional player knows how long it takes the Home Guard and Lightning Rush cannon to get there, but you just make it half a second faster, 1 second faster with something like a Shirelia's. Suddenly things get a bit more tricky. It's not going to be the Shirelia's, it's going to be the Proto Belt. Still the same idea. Still about getting that backline access. He's got some good deep vision, especially around the Baron. So how Gen.G stops SKT getting a free Baron is what we should look at.
SKT beginning to set it up once again, the 1-3-1. And Gen.G, they're beginning to realize it too. They would love a pick here in the mid lane.
Just trying to ARAM, trying to 5-man force something, but SKT can be respectful, and the side lanes are pushing on the side of SKT.
Pyrion thinking about continuing to push in. They do have some nice deep vision, but the minions are going to do the job. You can see just how low this turret is getting. It's not going to die, as Fly is there on time, but there was an assist ping in the top lane, and in the bottom lane, you're going to see Ryze and Kennen go there time and time again, and SKT still in total control of this map. Bang just going to TP in onto the Baron, trying to bait them in. It's not going to happen.
Dual QSS now finished on SKT, so the summon spell Teleport versus Cleanse trade. It's no longer going to be relevant because even if you take away the gold for the QSS, it's still going to be a significant gold lead for SKT, able to make these TPs work. Very excited to see if when we move to 8-14 next week, we'll see teams drop Teleport and try to play around those changes, or if they'll stick on them, and then canceling a Teleport becomes almost more impactful than blowing a flash in some ways. This game has definitely been dictated by how strong the summon spell Teleport advantage for SKT and their strong early game have comboed into lose-lose moments for Gen.G for the majority of the past 30 minutes.
Look at SKT. I love the zoom out here. Just looking for the pick. It's going to land on the side of Ruler. He has his cleanse. He's going to hold on to it for now. Ambition is forced to flash away, but they're turning out the Pyrion. Nice Devour there right on time. Here's Tal trying to go through the front line, actually. It's not going to work out, though. Has to Zonia's. This should be a good pick on a Tal. They get it here. And the 5v5 for SKT with no flank, just Tal going in the front line, is not going to work out.
Tal desperately botches the engages, even a lane ward to spot such a play. He goes down, trying to make the AB cannon work for the first time. SKT back away. Remember, Baron is on the Rift.
And look at this now with control of the river. Fly beginning to control space on the Zoe, looking for the picks, trying to stop backs as Gen.G now with the 1 kill. They want to get as many objectives as possible. They'll pick up their first turret in the mid lane.
If you're trying to make an engage on the Shield team, on the defensive team, the Samsung Galaxy into KSV and now Gen.G has always been, your execution needs to be better. So far, we can see that the win streak for SKT has improved their fundamentals. They got a huge lead, but now they're trying to make a pick and then combo it with the cannon. Ambition stands in the front because he's the one who can tank for days. We're watching in the picture-in-picture the Baron.
They backed on a ward. Gen.G backed on a ward. I was going to mention it, but 3 people go back on a ward. And with the Realm Warp, they get there on time. You were talking about timings. Once again, Ryze shows up in a big way in the late game to get a huge objective for SKT.
An execution may have got them a kill, but the Baron there is all about Gen.G dropping away. So that's a nice little objective stolen away by SKT. Very nicely done by them. Realm Warp into the pit was super helpful. They have Abyssal Voyage. They needed it there as well. Good play from SKT, and even Gen.G's staunch defense can't actually give them up the Baron.
Now Perion and Tal going to return to the top and bottom lanes here as they do have the Baron. They don't necessarily need that Elder Drake. Gen.G would love an objective, but SKT just trying to control this and collapse if they can. The teleport is there on Tal.
And remember, the Elder Drake is one of the few places that Gen.G can actually get the 5v5s that SKT is continuing to deny. It's very hard to bait it, though, when Baron buff means the speed of the split push is so much faster.
It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, you see Perion down there on the bottom side, Tal up here. QV desperately trying to stop the push and keep that inhibitor turret alive, but Tal just being annoying, standing near the minions, giving them the buff, and QV gonna waste the majority of his mana just trying to push out that lane. It's looking really good for the side of SKT. Look at this giant wave down on the bottom side. Doesn't really look like Gen.G have an answer to this, and they're wasting a lot of time in the mid lane.
It's because they have a Cleanse Zoe who wants to be sieging. She's not going to be useful in the side lane against a Ryze. Ryze takes the inhibitor turret, soon take the inhibitor. Gen.G happy footing, they get nothing, and they're losing an inhibitor.
The game is falling apart around them. It's like Inception right now. Perion, though, might have been caught out. Trying to 1v1, where did Fly go? That's just going to be the 1v1, and Perion will die too. But now Blank is going to come in here with a side of effort. Bang trying to get
free
in
hitting.
vision. Tal, he gets the perfect flank here behind Ruler, and that should be enough damage. Takes the two of them out, as well as Ambition, the last one to survive. The barrel's not going to be enough, and with the Baron buff, it looks like SKT secured game number 1.
There's only isolated moments for Gen.G where it looks like they could win, but the gold lead is because SKT were reliable. Their macro was strong, their 1-3-1 was strong. They close out the game, and it's a well-deserved victory for SKT.
You said it best, Papa. They deserve this one. Gen.G, an incredibly strong team, second in the league, but now Perion coming in here for the side of SKT. They pick up another win up against a really strong team. The streak continues for SKT.
Zoe comps have been so strong this week of LCK. Zoe Ezreal, Zoe Varus, all about the siege. What are you going to do against Cleanse Zoe and Cleanse Varus? Well, guess what? You can 1-3-1, make no mistakes, and then make great macro choice in the early game to steal away Drakes that should have been Gen.G's on the strong side of the map. For Gen.G, it was SK Telecom picking up the early Drakes, and then by the end, they were able to play the 1-3-1 close to flawless. Was every engage from Tal perfect? No. Was there some small mistakes? Yes. But when you play the early game so cleanly, you can make a couple of mistakes and still win the game.
And again, I mean, Gen.G, they're coming off a super hard schedule. They're going into the easier part of their schedule. They're in second place. This should have been the match that they're favored in, but SKT just outplaying them straight up in game number 1. A lot of dumbfounded looks on the side of Gen.G, as perhaps they didn't expect SKT to be this clean, but that they were. We'll see if Gen.G has something new for game 2.
Another thing you didn't expect is that Fly uses the portal jump forward and dies to 2 overloads and a W. Okay, that's some pretty cool damage from Perion to open this one up. We're seeing the SKT squad walk over. They're looking at the replay. It seems like they've got good things to see. On the big screen, Tal comes in the back line. Doesn't explode everyone, but does a great hand in shutting them down. And SK Telecom T1, suddenly, they won the first game. And if you judge it based on history since the start of 2017 spring, if you win the first game in this fixture, you win the entire fixture.
That has been the story. Ambition and the side of Gen.G going to be looking to change the story. We'll see if they can. After a short commercial break, we'll be back with game number 2.